I've been holding on to this for a while, trying to figure out if I was just overreacting, or if I'd been letting something slide for way too long. I'm 30 years old, married to my husband who's 31, and honestly, he's the kind of partner I always dreamed of having. He's kind, he's patient, he's hilarious, and above all else, he's loyal. That loyalty means so much to me because my last relationship ended in betrayal. My ex cheated on me with his best friend, and it shattered me for a while. I promised myself I wouldn't drag that pain into a new relationship, and thankfully, my husband has never once given me a reason to doubt him. Not once. Until recently. And the reason is a woman I'll call Claire. Claire is my husband's childhood best friend. From the very first time I met her, she made me feel unwelcome. She was never openly rude, but she had that subtle way of ignoring me that made me question myself. She'd talk around me, never to me. She'd leave me out of conversations. And no matter how much I smiled, no matter how many times I tried small talk, it was like pulling teeth. I tried to include her anyway. I invited her to birthdays, to barbecues, to our engagement dinner. She bailed on every single one. She didn't come to our wedding. Yet she always found ways to invite my husband out alone. To his credit, he always told me, never hid it, and never went without saying something. But it still stung. She only seemed to reach out when she was freshly heartbroken. Whenever a relationship ended, she'd suddenly need to talk to my husband. Every time I brought it up, he brushed it off. He said I was overthinking things, that Claire was just socially awkward. And maybe that was true. But my gut told me there was more to it. Then, a few weeks ago, something strange happened. Out of nowhere, Claire messaged me. Not him, me. She asked if I'd model for her photography project. I was so caught off guard that I said yes. A part of me thought, maybe this is her trying to connect. Maybe this is her olive branch. I was naive. My husband offered to come along, since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it might be nice to catch up. I agreed. I thought it would be a quick, casual shoot, but when we arrived at her house, I immediately knew something was off. Her entire family was there. Her mom, her sister. They were hanging around with drinks in hand, like this was some kind of dinner theater. And from the very beginning, they started with the comments. They kept calling my husband our son-in-law. At first I thought I misheard, but then it kept going. Jokes about the one that got away, snide remarks about bonds that never fade. At one point her mom actually said, "We always thought Claire would end up with him. Life takes detours." I guess then added, "Claire always pictured herself walking down the aisle with him. It's sweet of her to let someone else fill in though. I wish I was exaggerating." And Claire? She just kept taking pictures. She didn't shut it down. She didn't change the subject. She smiled like this was all perfectly normal. My husband looked uncomfortable. He shifted in his seat, cleared his throat, moved closer to me during the shoot, but he didn't say anything either. He stayed quiet. I forced a smile, posed for the pictures, and stayed for about an hour. But the whole time, I felt like I was part of a cruel inside joke. Everyone else was in on it except me. When we got in the car, my husband stayed silent for a long time before finally saying, "Sorry about that. That was weird. That's all he said. I didn't even know how to respond. I was angry, but more than that, I felt completely alone. After that day, I realized I was done pretending. Claire was just quirky or awkward. She knew exactly what she was doing, and so did her family. But before I could even sit down to talk to my husband about it, something else happened. My sister-in-law, who I'm very close to, sent me a screen recording. It was from Claire's close friend's story on Instagram. In it, you could see me posing for the shoot, but in the background, you could clearly hear Claire's sister saying, "Claire should have been the one to marry him, that was it for me." I showed the video to my husband. I watched his face change as he listened. For the first time, I saw him get angry, and I couldn't stop myself from asking, why didn't you react this way when it happened right in front of us? Why did it take seeing proof on a screen for you to finally care? That night, I laid everything out. Every comment Claire had ever made. Every time she iced me out. Every single moment I had swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. I told him I was done being polite. I told him I was done being second place in my own marriage. And then I gave him the choice. It's her or me. Because I will not live in a marriage where I have to beg to be defended. He didn't argue. He didn't get defensive. He looked ashamed. And then he asked me the question I had been waiting to hear. What do you need from me now? I told him the truth. That I needed him to protect this marriage. That I needed to know I wasn't competing with some ghost of his past. So we called Claire together. She answered cheerful, like nothing had happened. When we brought up the video, she brushed it off. Oh, it was just a joke, she said. Are you really mad about that? That's when my husband finally spoke. And this time, he didn't hold back. He told her that what happened at that photo shoot was disgusting. That I had shown up to support her, and she and her family mocked me. That he had been silent too long, but that silence was over. And then he said the words I'll never forget. If choosing between you and my wife ever felt hard, I wouldn't deserve her. We're not kids anymore. I don't want to be your friend anymore. Claire laughed. She actually laughed. She said, wow, you're really cutting me off over that girl? But my husband stood firm. He told her, if you can't respect my wife, you don't respect me. This friendship is over. And then he hung up. We blocked her and her whole family. Since then, things have been different in a good way. My husband has been more present, more protective in the right ways, more aware of how much I'd been carrying. And I felt lighter, stronger, because I finally stood up for myself instead of brushing it off. The silence from Claire has been the best gift she ever gave me. And the biggest lesson? You don't have to fight to win over people who've already decided not to see you. You're not being dramatic. You're not imagining it. And you don't have to keep being the bigger person just to stay nice. For the first time in a long time, I feel like my husband and I are on the same page. And that makes all the difference.